Good afternoon. I'm glad that we see quite few people from after lunch. I know that it's going to be hard to listen to something after we had a good meal, but we should start anyway. First of all, I would like to welcome you to this first panel that deals with digital sovereignty of Europe. I'm really glad to have quite a few distinguished guests here at this panel this afternoon. They're listed here on the screen. I would, like to introduce them right now. First of all, Mr. Goran Štefanić, who is Digital Diplomacy Ambassador in the Ministry of Foreign and European Affairs of Croatia, who will be our next speaker just after my introduction. Then I would like to also welcome here Mr. Daniel Opalka, who is Head of Sector Research and Innovation, European High Performance Computing Joint Undertaking that is situated in Luxembourg. Mr. Opalka, thank you for joining us here. Also, I'm very glad to have here Francesco Frieri, who is Director General for Resources, Human Resources Organization Europe, Local Government and Innovation in Emilia-Romagna region. Mr. Frieri, thank you and welcome. And finally, our panelist that is going to give us also many good insights from an industrial aspect is Mr. Boris Pogachnik, who is VP of Business Operations in Infobip. In order to start with some interesting topics, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Štefanić. Please, Mr. Štefanić, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mario. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's not easy to speak after lunch, but I imagine it is not even easy to listen as well. So thank you for being with us. It is an important topic, and I will try to keep you awake. The world is hurtling towards a digital revolution, and the European Union stands at a critical juncture. Do we continue to rely on external players, or do we forge our own path to a flourishing digital future? That is the essence of digital sovereignty. It is not closure or protectionism. It is simply empowering Europe to define its own digital destiny. It is about securing our critical infrastructure, fostering innovation within our borders, while ensuring a level playing field for anyone who wants to do business in Europe. But most importantly, it is about protecting our fundamental values: privacy, security, trust, and democratic control in digital realm. The challenges are undeniable. We face concerns over data privacy breaches, cyber attacks, and the dominance of non-European tech giants. But these challenges also present opportunities. Europe boasts a wealth of talent, a vibrant research landscape, and a strong commitment to ethical values. These are the foundations upon which we can build a resilient and prosperous digital ecosystem. What the EU does to ensure digital sovereignty? We can structure the answer in 4 pillars. First, investment in research and development. The EU invests heavily in R&D through programs like Horizon Europe, Digital Europe Program, Connecting European Facility, which dedicate more than 100 billion to areas critical for digital sovereignty, such as artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and cybersecurity. The EU encourages collaboration between research institutions and private companies to accelerate innovation and commercialize European technologies. One of the best examples of these efforts and collaboration is EU High Performance Computing Joint Undertaking, and I'm sure the panel discussion that will follow will give you much more insight into this valuable EU initiative. Second, building robust infrastructure. First and foremost, connectivity. The EU aims to develop a secure and high-performance digital infrastructure throughout Europe. This includes initiatives like Gigabit Strategy to ensure widespread access to high-speed internet. The EU also promotes the development of a secure and sovereign cloud infrastructure to reduce dependence on non-European cloud providers by many different initiatives, like open source cloud initiative, Gaia-X, IPCI on cloud, all aiming to establish a secure, open, and interoperable cloud infrastructure in Europe. We should not forget the EU Chips Act, which aims to make Europe a chip powerhouse by boosting domestic production to reduce reliance on imports, funding research in cutting-edge chip technologies, and securing the supply chain for critical European industries. Third pillar, adopting value and principle-based regulatory framework. And this is very important for internal and external reasons. Internally, the EU seeks to establish the highest possible standards that reflect its core values and principles, which it consistently advocates and promotes. This ensures consistency between its stated values and its internal regulation. Externally, by setting these high standards, the EU aims to become a global leader in standard setting. This encourages like-minded countries and regions to adopt similar standards, fostering adherence to the same values and principles the EU upholds. It has happened already with GDPR, which gives individuals greater control over their personal data, as it could happen with EU Data Act, which focuses on ensuring fair access to and use of data within the European data economy, as well as with EU Data Governance Act, which focuses on creating processes and structures to facilitate data sharing. It is happening with recently adopted Digital Services Act and Digital Markets Act, instruments to create a fairer and more secure digital market, where Digital Services Act tackles online safety by holding platforms accountable for harmful content, while the Digital Market Act promotes fair competition by preventing large platforms from squeezing out smaller businesses. It will happen, at least we are advocating this, with the recently adopted EU AI regulation, first of its kind in the world, which ensures the ethical development and use of artificial intelligence. Finally, international cooperation. The EU seeks partnership with like-minded countries that share similar values and concerns regarding digital realm and its future. This fosters collaboration on critical technologies and standards. One good example of this partnership is definitely Trade and Technology Council, TTC, as a transatlantic forum established in June 2021, which serves as a platform for the European Union and United States to coordinate approaches on key global trade, economic, and technology issues. There are also other important digital partnerships based on the Digital Compass strategy, which aims to make Europe a digitally connected continent by 2030. By building strong partnerships using the 4 pillars of the Digital Compass: skills, infrastructures, transformation of businesses, and public sector. The EU currently has 4 partnerships with Japan, Korea, Singapore, and Canada. The EU also strives to include digital provisions in trade agreements to ensure a level playing field for European businesses and protect EU data as well. The digital platform, the digital pillar, forms a critical cornerstone of the EU's global gateway strategy, and this strategy aims to establish smart, clean, and secure connection across the globe. Through infrastructure development, promoting digital technologies, bridging the digital divide, strengthening cybersecurity, and advocating for open standards worldwide, the EU seeks to bolster global connectivity and promote its core values. Furthering this mission, the EU Digital for Development Hub serves as a strategic platform. It fosters strong digital cooperation between the EU, its member states, the partner countries in various regions, including Africa, Asia Pacific, Latin America, and Caribbean. To expand its reach, the Digital for Development Hub recently launched a new branch dedicated to the EU neighborhood, with a particular focus on accelerating the digital transformation of the Western Balkans. So these are the efforts that EU does to determine its digital future and impose itself as a global digital standard setter. I will conclude by saying a couple of words about Croatian perspective. Croatia sees the digital sector as a realm of immense potential. Despite being a relatively small country, we boast 2 unicorns, Infobip and Rimac. Additionally, our excellent technical universities, institutes, and companies actively participate in leading EU initiatives like IPCI, EU high-performing computing, EU chips joint undertaking, as well as quantum computing and AI efforts. Fueled by our knowledge, capacity, and strong enthusiasm for the digital sector and technology in general, Croatia is eager to make a significant contribution to European digital future. In parallel with our international efforts, we are actively pursuing our internal digital transformation through several key strategies. 2 of the most prominent include the Smart Specialization Strategy and the Digital Development Strategy. These strategies aim to enhance the accessibility and speed of digital infrastructure, significantly develop digital skills and competencies, strongly support the digital transformation of businesses, concretely stimulate the digital economy and innovation, and strengthen digital governance and public services. Our commitment extends beyond our internal transformation. We are also aiming to be more ambitious on the EU and international level. This is reflected in our enhanced efforts in digital diplomacy, global digital challenges, and international digital development. Underscoring this commitment, the prestigious Dubrovnik Forum, Croatia's most renowned international conference to be organized on June 28 and 29, will delve into transformative potential of artificial intelligence and quantum computing, exploring their impact on international relations and global cooperation. On the international digital development front, Croatia recently joined the EU Digital for Development Hub, and this platform will allow us to collaborate with other member states, the European Commission, the European External Action Service, to promote EU digital expertise globally. Naturally, our focus will be on our neighborhood, the Western Balkans. We aim to accelerate the region's digital transition and pave the way for its integration into EU single digital market. We are confident that our experience at both the EU and national level can contribute significantly to this goal. I was talking a lot what EU and Croatia are doing as regards our digital future, but and maybe what can we do more or in different way, I'm sure that our panelists will share with you. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stefanic. I would like to welcome right now Mr. Opalka. Mr. Opalka, the floor is yours.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. And in this introductory talk, I would like to provide you with an example of how in this specific organization European resources have been pooled to achieve the development of an infrastructure and of a research and innovation program that probably goes beyond the capacity of any single country in the Union. And I will provide you with a few examples what we have achieved in our short lifetime as an organization. So my role in this organization is to oversee our research and innovation program that covers a number of different areas, technology development, such as the European processor that we will be discussing in the next minutes, but also the development of software related to high-performance computing applications, international cooperation, quantum computing infrastructure, and perhaps one of the most important activities, the development of skills and widening the use of advanced computing all over the Union and beyond, and also support our businesses in Europe. We are and I suppose maybe not everybody here is familiar, first of all, with the concept of high-performance computing, or HPC. This is the acronym for this, and the concept of a joint undertaking. So we are a body of the European Union that is a collaboration between the public and the private sector. So a public-private partnership. We have as our members 35 countries as our public members, and I already would like to apologize to the United Kingdom that they're still white on this map, as just in the last few days we have we got a new member in our organization. This is the United Kingdom, and that happened after this slide has been created. So this is a very recent development. Now we are 35 countries, members of this organization, and we work together also with our private partners. These are currently 3 industry associations that help us to design, to develop our innovation program. This is first of all, the European Technology Platform for High-Performance Computing, where primarily European technology companies are organized. It is the Big Data Value Association that covers an area that is of rapidly increasing importance with the recent developments in and around artificial intelligence, as well as the most recent private member, the Quantum Industry Consortium, that supports us and participates mostly in our activities around the development of a quantum computing infrastructure and ecosystem in Europe. We are, in principle, a funding organization. We provide support to beneficiaries, to legal entities within the Union and in the participating countries, typically adopting a co-funding concept. So usually we cover only a part of the costs of a research or innovation activity or an investment in infrastructure, and another share will be covered by the country where the activities take place. For this, we receive funding from 3 different large EU framework programs. This is the Digital Europe program that is managed by the European Commission. It is the Horizon Europe research program, and the Connecting Europe facility. So overall, we have earmarked about 3.5 billion euro together with our investments by the private partners, and this is matched by the same amount by the member states or the participating countries. So overall, we will be investing around 7 billion euro within this multi-annual financial framework. Our mission is to build and maintain an HPC, high-performance computing ecosystem. These are the world's largest supercomputers. It's a very expensive infrastructure. And I will say a few words more on the next slide when I show you where we are currently operating our data centers that provide resources to the European research communities. We have a quite extensive research and innovation program. The European Processor Initiative we will be discussing is part of this and a lot more. And our mission is also to support a more autonomous and secure European supply chain for the area for technology linked to high-performance computing, which is considered of strategic importance in general. Now, why do we need high-performance computing? And I just would like to give you a few examples why this is important. High-performance computers are the underpinning technology for many, many developments that affect our lives. Climate and weather forecast predictions rely heavily on high-performance computing. Some of the biggest supercomputers are used for this purpose. Engineering in the automotive industry, to design aircrafts, to design other industrial components, relies on high-performance computing. But we have also high-performance computing more and more penetrating other areas that are maybe where the use of advanced computing may be less obvious. And One example that we often use to visualize this is the example of a chicken farm in Montenegro, where we funded a project where HPC-based high-performance computing was used together with artificial intelligence to monitor the health of the animals in this chicken farm, which is a small business at this point. So, a few more words on our Euro-HPC infrastructure. This is the state of play at this point in time. We have procured so far 5 so-called petascale systems. Petascale refers to the capacity, to the amount of compute resources available in the system. So to give you an idea about the performance of such a system, this is measured typically in flops, floating point operations per second. A human can do about one flop, one such operation per second. A petascale system does 10 to the power of 15 such operations per second, and an exascale system 10 to the 18. So this is a digit with 18 zeros, and if we put this into context with other digital infrastructure, this is truly outstanding. We are, in the meantime with this, we operate one of the largest high-performance computing infrastructures in the world. And perhaps the most important point here is this is a joint investment by many European countries, and we make these resources available to our businesses and researchers free of charge for research and innovation. Currently, we have, if we compare this on a worldwide level, we have, if we rank the largest supercomputers in the world, just 3 of those are among the top 10 worldwide. And perhaps not also important, we currently own the world's greenest supercomputer, the most energy efficient supercomputer, which is the first part of the European exascale system, Jupiter, that is going to be installed in Jülich in Germany in the next months. So a few words, we are discussing digital sovereignty, and a few words to illustrate where we have identified, where we see the gaps in the European capacity to provide a complete supply chain. And with the supply chain is if you need in all areas something. If one element is missing, then the whole chain collapses. And if we look at the supply chain, the value chain here, this is a study from the European Investment Bank from 2018, then you can see there is a number, and this is certainly not a complete list of all businesses in Europe operating in this area. But what is remarkable if you look at this is that there is quite good coverage of many areas along the value chain in Europe. For example, there are integrators. There are software developers, independent software vendors, ISVs. There are intermediaries that link data centers to user communities. We have a very active user community that consumes a lot of these resources, but what is completely missing is the first part in the value chain, and this is the chip manufacturers and critical components. And this is certainly also one of the reasons why, first of all, we have invested now about 200 million in the European Processor Initiative, and this, of course, continues beyond our activities in the whole Union with the CHIPS Act that was recently launched and a lot more. So this is one of our direct contributions to close gaps in sovereign or autonomous value chain for Europe. Beyond infrastructure, we are active in, we have a quite significant research and innovation program. I'll give you a few numbers on the next slide on those. First, we can roughly divide this into 4 different intervention areas, and I try to group this here a little bit with some examples. So at the very bottom, we strongly invest in the design of compute hardware for advanced computing, chip design for high-performance computing, the European Process Initiative, but also, for instance, high-bandwidth interconnect to link many compute nodes together, and also a number of other areas. So this is one of the big areas where we invest. The development of a European software stack to operate such data centers is one of our other areas of investment, and we have a number of initiatives in this area, in particular related to a more energy efficient operation of data centers. So energy costs are very significant for these supercomputers. A big supercomputer consumes about 20 megawatts of energy. This is like a small town. And with growing energy costs, it becomes more and more a limiting factor. Applications algorithm, of course, here we have a number of initiatives, namely under the title Centers of Excellence, where we group together around scientific domains, researchers from academia, but also from industrial partners to work together on new applications, develop new algorithms, and finally, the user community. Without skilled and qualified users, all these investments would essentially be useless if we spend several billions in all of these areas and then they are not used wisely and efficiently. So here are a few examples. First of all, as mentioned, the European Process Initiative, developing the first European chip for high-performance computing, and you can imagine this is much more complicated than chips that you find in other areas of our lives, for example, in devices, in cars, in other technical products. And we will be delivering this first result of European research in our first exascale supercomputer, Jupiter. This is Jupiter, and just to give you a number, is an investment of about 500 million euro in one single supercomputer. This is something that is, even for the larger country in the Union, a very challenging investment. So we will cover half of the cost, and the other part will be covered by the country that hosts the system. We have a number of initiatives on software. I mentioned this already and I would like just to highlight one project that I think fits very well in this discussion around cohesion, because it's perhaps one of our most inclusive projects. More than 30 countries participate, including associated countries that are not members of the European Union, where we established in each country a national competence center to support small and medium-sized enterprises in adopting advanced computing in their business models and widen participation, specifically in countries that are currently developing their HPC and digital skills and infrastructure. So this is perhaps one of our most important projects to widen participation. A few numbers, as promised, research innovation in numbers. We have currently invested about 580 million in research projects together with the participating states. About 320 million of this is from the EU budget. The remaining part is the corresponding co-funding of the national funding authorities. We have also invested more than 100 million in our quantum computing infrastructure so far, where we will be delivering about 6 quantum computers in the near future in different European countries. Beyond this, if we look at the numbers, there are currently 320 different legal entities that receive financial support. So it's probably fair to say we reach out to quite a number of legal entities, and we hope this will increase, in particular to countries that so far did not participate or have only a minor role in our activities. So this is one of our ambitions, to further widen participations to other countries, even though we have already 35 countries participating, but not all at the same level. We also support a number of small and medium-sized enterprises, but still, as you can see from the chart, most of our beneficiaries are still within the public sector, universities, research centers, funded by national ministries. Now, this introduces a little bit perhaps what follows in this discussion on the European Process Initiative. So as any EU body, we are governed, of course, by the wider policy context. For example, the Digital Compass that was published by the European Commission, and that sets out a number of ambitions, or proposes a number of ambitions for the year 2030, and our actions in specifically the European Process Initiative contributes to this, to, for example, deliver European chip technology, where the ambition is to produce about 20% of chips in the Union by 2030. And you can see in the timeline we have already made quite some progress. We have started with the European Process Initiative in 2017, and now we are about to deliver the first chips for our first pilots and our first supercomputers in 2025 probably, and we are just about to launch additional activities for the next generation of EU-designed chips to be delivered in 2030 and beyond. So with this, I thank you for your attention and
thank you, Mr. Palka. The next presentation is going to be me. What Mr. Palka just mentioned in his talk is one of the strategic key projects in Europe that relates to digital technology, which is development of the missing technology puzzle that we have seen just on Mr. Palka's slide, which is the actual chips for high-performance computing and AI. I'm going to really give you a short overview. I mean, I can talk for hours on this, but I will try to give you a non-technical overview, not to overwhelm you with the technical data, but just to give you some kind of view of why is it important, what we are doing, and what is going to be the outcome of this. So to start with, how did Europe go into the direction of building their own chips? As the analysis showed earlier, this ground technology for any high-performance digital computing was missing in Europe. And unfortunately, in the last decades, Europe decided to purchase a lot of that technology from outside of the region, and the skill force and the knowledge went out of Europe. So the situation where the actual need for computers demand for computers was growing rapidly globally, came to the point that even the old kind of well-renowned manufacturers had to change something dramatically, because the architectures of old processors were not energy efficient enough for exascale size supercomputers. So everybody had to develop something new. This was seen in Europe, which was a great point. This was seen in Europe as a kind of like breakthrough time that we can start develop our own technology together with all of the other competitors globally. And this is how the Euro HPC initiative, the joint undertaking started, and this is when after JU was formed, after that, this is how European Processor Initiative started. it's not only that we have to develop the technology itself, we have to bring the workforce, we have to bring back the knowledge, and we have to build the whole industry around it, because it's not like one time off endeavor. So it's something that has to really be long-term, and it will bring many benefits to the industry and the society. This is a very kind of packed slide where I have basically shown all the critical moments in these last, I would say, 10 years. I'm not going to go through all of this, don't worry. But what I would like to point out, there are a couple of things that are important here. What EuroHPC did just recently, which is end of last year, they announced that the new most powerful supercomputer in Europe, Jupiter, will actually feature product high-performance processor that is coming out of European Processor Initiative project, which means that the idea that was just, political idea at the very beginning is bringing some results in a very near future. So we are going to see some European technology, and that missing puzzle that we have seen in last presentation will hopefully be fit by our own technology. It's very important because then the whole supply chain can really be within Europe, and that can bring a lot of benefits. Within that, I would say that European Processor Initiative, which is the project that was actually bringing that technology to the market, is actually kind of like the leader in this area in Europe. Who is European Processor Initiative? It's not a single company. It's consortia of 27 companies and institutions from all over Europe, with, I would say, the brightest minds, the kind of biggest concentration of skills that are able to do such a complex design in a very short time frame. How can that help? And this is, I would say, a couple of slides. Mr. Palka just mentioned that earlier, but I would really like to go briefly through this. How can that affect all of us on a daily basis? There are a number of aspects. For example, when we take health, a lot of analysis, most state-of-the-art analysis on medical data can use the advantages of high-performance computing to either produce novel drugs, to find out, some of the, cancers that, normal human can, not detect early enough, can help in many other ways to make our lives much better and the quality of our lives, much better. From the industry aspect, the way to simulate products, the way to design products in a kind of virtual environment, first of all, reduces the costs of design and preparation for manufacturing. Secondly, creates better product in a shorter time frame. We have seen that with the vaccines for COVID. It's extremely important to have high-performance computing in the background on some of those big technology challenges, because without that, you cannot come to the market in a very short time frame. And of course, this helps many other industries to, as I said, reduce costs, get to the market, reduce the developments and make the, more competitive products. Climate change, weather forecasting. I know that, we all, look at our, mobile phones to see what is the weather tomorrow. But when you consider what are the expenses related to weather changes, in all of our, neighborhoods, that affects industry, that affects lives, that affects agriculture, that affects, so many aspects of our lives. If we can predict that, if we can do something about it well in advance, that saves a lot of, money, effort, and time. Also, cybersecurity, a very important topic. We are all aware today that, unfortunately, us being more in the digital, world all of the time, and not only us, but industries, our societies, our governments, without securing the data and without controlling the access to that data, you don't really have any control over many aspects of our lives. So having the ability to control that in an efficient way against cyber attacks or some other threats, it's very important, and HPC can help us with that. And of course, energy, getting green energy, designing energy fields for either solar or wind power without supercomputers, without emulations and simulation of surroundings, you cannot really build efficient power systems in the future. And of course, for us as citizens, as simple human beings, with all of that, our society can get more efficient, our governments can get more efficient, everyday lives with traffic, with everything where we live in, that can be more cost efficient or time efficient. It really does help us all in different areas of our lives. And so this is where EPI technology will try to step in. So right now, just a couple of things of what are we actually developing, just so that after this, not only like the general things, but also what we are actually doing. We have two objectives. Today, most advanced computers are using something which is called general purpose processors, which are used to kind of calculate regular applications on a daily basis. But what we see in the last decade or so is that the most advanced global computers use something that is called accelerators, because some parts of those algorithms, those complex algorithms, perform much better on a specialized hardware that does some kind of computations, particularly for that set of topics. So what we have seen today is that building super strong computers like exascale computers would require also some of the accelerators. And we would like that Europe has both of those from Europe. So we are doing in parallel two design. One is the ARM-based, which is kind of general purpose design. One is RISC-V based, which is, I am not going to bother you with all of the details, but which is more oriented towards the acceleration of processing. Where are we now? The general purpose processor REA, as Daniel mentioned, is going to be in the next European exascale supercomputer. It has some features, some technical features that I'm going just to skip, but one news that I'm glad that I can share with you is from this week. The spin-off company that we created as a part of EPI, which is called CIPERL, it's a French-based company that is actually focusing on getting this product on the market and actually fabricating the chip and getting it as a commercial product. We just revealed the technical information about our REA-1 processors. Right now, in parallel, there's actually the biggest European HPC event that is taking place in Hamburg. So there are a lot of people that are in this topic that are not being able to be here, but that are in Hamburg. I think that we are better off here than in Hamburg, but that's my personal opinion. They really announced some of the technical details, which is very important for us and for the technical community. The product is being developed well. We hope to have the systems out there with this processor out on the market and in European system hopefully next year. In the same time, we are developing the accelerators. I know that each presentation that does not mention AI is not a good presentation, so I have to mention AI here as well. So if we are talking about AI today, we know that some of the AI algorithms, especially inference, much more efficiently use some of the acceleration engines that are out there. So we are also within the European Processor Initiative, we are developing some specialized accelerators that really can process those parts of algorithms much more efficiently than a general purpose processor. So the combination of those two is ideal combination for any future product that we'll see in the market. Not only for high performance computers, but as Daniel said, our future cars are not cars really anymore. They're going to be more computers than cars because they're going to analyze all different kinds of data and you want to be sure that they analyze it well before it crashes, right? So we are going to see those products everywhere. So, and we want them that they're not expensive and that they do their job well. So this is where we're also trying to get in parallel with the general purpose processor that is going to process majority of data. We have European accelerators as that are based on the RISC-V architecture. We have also some prototypes on those. You know, they're shown here in the middle, but you know, it's just a piece of metal and silicon that you're not that interested in. What we do all of the time within the project, you know, we have large European supercomputing centers that have majority of those key applications running on a daily basis there. So we are doing reality checks in the sense that we are trying to evaluate how would those complex applications run on those new architectures. And we are, based on the results that we get from those simulations, we are changing this product specification. And this goes back and forth. So we are basically trying to get, greatest scientists that are in Europe to try to run their applications on our, prototype architectures to see if we can even further enhance those processors finally in the market. Beyond the actual processors, what we are also doing, EPI is also part of two new pilot systems. Before those systems go into commercial productions, we are going to build kind of like a smaller scale system that are going to be fully physically designed like a big ones, but they're not going to be like, they're not going to fill whole this like conference room. Just to see, if what we did is actually performing well. So we have two pilots. One is UPEX pilot that is going to basically test the general purpose processor that we are building. And we have the second project that is called EU pilot that is going to test the accelerators that we are building. And finally, this is our timeline. We are in 2024 right now. What we see is a lot of exciting things at the end of this year and beginning of next year, including, as I said, some of the chips being out on the market and being included in European most advanced supercomputers. And of course, we see that as a future product, we are going to move beyond just pure HPC. Because this is going to be the family of products that are going to go into smaller scale, into different products and different markets. Maybe just couple of things to kind of take with you after you leave this presentation. So we think that EPI processors will be really competitive, and it's going to be European technology. So it's going to be sort of like one of the kind of like building blocks of many systems to come. It's going to benefit both European industry, science, and everybody, every one of us as EU citizens. Of course, this conference is about networking. We would very much like to see those countries that are not part of this initiative and these projects to join us. So I would like to welcome everybody who has interest in this, really approach us, try to get in touch with us, don't contact us on any of the levels that you see here. We'll be happy to include you in any of the future activities that we have. And what I think is that, European Processor Initiative and our products are really a cornerstone of EU digital sovereignty. Couple of things as a kind of promotion of some of our events. We are this week in Hamburg. I would like to invite you all to our first event that is going to happen in Barcelona in October. This is going to be first European Processor Initiative Forum. So October 8th, 9th, and 10th, please, feel free on our web, you'll see more information. And of course, the biggest global event, supercomputing, we are going to have our booth there. So if any of you happen to be there, please, join us there and promote European technology and European activities. With that, I'd like to conclude and thank you for having time to listen about EPI. And of course, I would like to invite our next speaker, Mr. Fieri, to tell us something about their activities. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Francesco Fieri. I come from Emilia-Romagna region, so we are not a research center. I had some slide. Okay. I would like to show some application about using data and big data in particular, and demonstrate how we think that big data and the awareness of data from an organization is the key to design a digital sovereignty. The amounts of data, the awareness, also the ability to get free the data and merging the meanings between data and generate new meanings is important for each organization. The vague term that we can use, like institution, could give us an illusion that the digital sovereignty can reach only using technology. The technology, and in particular the hardware, and we have a lot of hardware in our region, thanks also to the European Union, because the majority of the investment spent in expenditure in Leonardo is given by the European Union, is 1 trillion the cost of the total amount of cost of investment in HPC in my region, in Bologna, because there are also the HPC of ECWF. But the question is using data. And the capital of the 21st century is data. And in the 21st century, it will be some firm, some organizations, some public organizations that have data, have the ability to use data, and others not. And this is the fear of the digital disparity that we have in Europe and also inside our regions. So some numbers about my region. Compared to some country of European Union, my region is similar because count 4.5 million inhabitants, but there are a lot of disparities beyond these numbers. Because, for example, the 51% of our surface is made by mountain, and the mountain lives only the 13% of the population, and the GDP per capita of this population is 1/2 of the GDP medium of our region. So we have a lot of success in our region, but we have to take care also for all territories in our regions, all provinces, or municipalities. And for doing that, we use this cooperative and integrated method to plan European funds and to plan also all performances of our local governments. Because as you said, we have 330 municipalities, 9 provinces, and that means we have to convey all those administrations to the same goal in order to reduce disparities and to promote development and also to foster the digital transformation as we said. We have also to manage 4.5 trillion in this plan. And it is a big effort for our regions, also for our local authorities, because we have to add to the structural funds, normal structural funds, through agricultural funds, efficient funds given by the European Union, also the next generation EU funds called in Italy PNRR. And that means also that we have to strengthen the ability and to capacity of our local authorities to spend this money, because the ability to spend this money will decide the disparities and also the perspectives for all citizens, for all children in the next decades in Italy. So using data, we monitor every time the spend and the performances of our local authorities or our local municipalities. And we can also describe the expenditure made by the region, the healthcare systems managed by the region, and also the expenditure probe of these municipalities. And as you can see, the mountain, the lower part of our map is heavy. So this is a problem for us because we have also an internal areas close to the Po River. But the perspective for these territories for us are very, very important. And we can monitor also where, in what policy are we spending now the money, no? But I don't want to. The first main thing that I would like to share with you is the curves of the expenditure in the next decade. These curves are extracted by the last report cohesion report presented by Ursula von der Leyen and Elisa Ferreira a few weeks ago in Brussels. And we elaborated also the same report for our country. I have to apologize for my country because there are no representatives of my government, national government. We are only a region, but we are here with you. But the problem is that in the next few years, we know that we will have a big lack of resources for any investment in our country. And that will be the problem, because also the next generation EU in our country is only dedicated to invest capital expenditure and not current expenditure. That means we have a big problem. We will have a big problem to manage university, education system, healthcare system, and so on, also in our regions. And in our regions, this effect of this vacuum of investments will be strengthened because our region is one of the most speed regions in Europe, above the Baden-Württemberg, in terms of velocity of spend of European resources. So that means we don't have money in the next few years, and we have to enhance and also using data improve the efficacy of the public administration to provide services, local services, and public services. So this is another extract of this report of about cohesion from the European Commission. But and this is some number that can cross with some other quotation about this report, showing how we dedicate a big part, 1/4 of our resources to the internal and mountain areas in our regions in order to reduce the disparity that I shown before. We can monitor also all the spend across the region, also showing the spend per capita and the expenditure per capita, and observing also some lacky performance in some municipality. But I would like to show at the end 3 projects that we implemented in our regions in order to reduce the disparity using data and using the digital. What is for us the meaning of digital? Is the ability using data to replicate something and to improve something, but using data. The first one is Margherita. this machine is 500 teraflop of power, so that means it's 1,000 less powerful than Leonardo, the machine that Daniel shown before, but 50,000 times more powerful than a desk computer. So this machine is dedicated and is achieved also thanks to the national cohesion funds, to all the municipality, all public administration, and also the Adrian program, if we want. And the early condition is only to satisfy the general interest of our citizenship. And it's free. The using of this calculus power is free. We have also a collaboration with Cineca and with Leonardo, so we can use also Leonardo. But we think we don't have now for public services the need to use Leonardo and an exascale computer. So we pointed out 5 main aspects where we are experimenting and developing algorithms. And there are the same fields that Mario shown to us a few seconds ago. For example, natural catastrophes, in general following and predicting climate change, mitigation of road accidents, for example, and monitoring epidemiological curves across the regions. The first one algorithm we developed is Amartya. Amartya is an algorithm open to all municipalities in order to predict inequality, occupation, and also all the macroeconomical and microeconomical effects in all our films and family. It's a digital twin of our families. Amartya replicates exactly each family in our regions and is a sample of the behavior of our films across region and across area. For example, we can simulate in Amartya a tax expenditure given by regional government or the effect of increasing raw material across the region and predict this effect and allowing to the policymakers to decide and to react to this effect. Another one, and the key of Amartya is merging the salaries and the data between families and firms and receive with other macro trends indicators in order to predict also the evolution of these indicators compared to the regional policies, regional or local policies. So the ability using data, this is the constant of this intervention, is using data in order to give a major efficacy also to the local authorities and to regions and to local governments. So another application is deep learning. Which is deep learning? Deep learning is a software, a Siamese, an architectural convolutional learning, Siamese, that means duplicated, doubled, that can help radiologists and oncologists in university clinics now in Barcelona and in Bologna to discover and to point out cancer detection. We developed Amartya. Amartya is an example of European cooperation because we invented a network financed by the European Commission and by the European Parliament called DT for Regions. And with the Catalan government and also the Catalan clinics, we developed this software. And if this software in these 3 next months will give some success, we have also 2 scientific publications about that. We will extend this software freely across our regions or across our university. We can do that because we have all data about 3D TAC in our regions. This is the moral. If we'll have, for example, this data closed inside some private clinics, for us the difficulty also respecting GDPR will be harder. Okay, and so to conclude this report with these 3 examples, I would like to conclude that if we want to enhance also in this project, Adrian, the digital sovereignty and also the digital ability to local governments and to citizenship to change the life of the citizen, we have to give trust to the local authorities, regions, municipalities, provinces. We call it in constitutional law in Italy vertical subsidiarity. So give the ability to using data, in this case, to develop public services to the level closer to the citizen. Without that, it will be very difficult to import and export technology, like generative AI, for example, that are, in this case, all made by Americans and Chinese. If we want to change this trend, we have to give trust to the local authorities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frier. And right now, I would like to welcome Mr. Pogachnik, who is going to give us some details about what his company is doing in this area. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm coming from the business. The name is Infobip. It's first Croatian unicorn, and we are playing in ICT industry. So I prepared one slide, which is rather complicated, but it shows how tech is complicated for very little and simple things that we are using every day. And through this picture of technologies, we can then a little bit explain when Europe is positioned between the East and West. So I believe the pandemic situation make our shopping habits a little bit different. So I'm certain every one of you in the last couple of years find yourself buying online. This is a very simple case. And then by clicking on some online store, you put something into the cart, and then you've been distracted, and then immediately you receive either email or SMS or WhatsApp message about the information that you abandoned the cart and you've been offered some extra discount if you finish your shopping. So to be able to do such a simple thing, the whole message needs to pass through this rather complicated platform. To send simple SMS from your bank to your cell phone, it's a little bit simpler. It's touch only first 2 layers, but if you go deeper into the software area, it's getting more complicated. Everything started in early 90s when the first SMS was sent by European engineers, and the whole industry that we know under the acronym of GSM is European story. And this is pretty much where European technology stops here on these slides. As you move up through this platform, more and more channels, more and more digital solutions, more and more applications are powered by the different kind of technologies. And even being a leader in our industry, and we are fighting on the market against 1 or 2 American companies, we don't have much options than to use a foreign technology. This is on application level more or less, but if you want to be very aggressive on the market, and we in the business, we need to survive every year, we need to use top-notch third-party applications. So imagine you have a sales force of 1,000 employees. You are daily communicating with your clients. You are depending on the software such as CRM, and the best CRM in the world is American CRM. Salesforce company is behind it. You are using American software and you are paying for this. Luckily, American company also paying us for being a provider of their communication channels, and this business flows quite well. But there is one important topic here that we all agree prior to this panel that should be stressed out, and this is the battle for talents. Battle for talents, for the last 50 years, US were winning, and we need to find a way how to change that course. In our company, we launch a project where we announced that we are looking for the foreign engineers to move to Croatia, to move close to our campuses. We have two campuses, one in Istria, the other one in Zagreb. And we offer them the housing, the piece for the family, the scholarship for the kids, and nice working environment. This was unfortunately stopped by the pandemic, but was fast forwarded by the unfortunate war situation in Ukraine, where we have office in Kiev and we have office in Moscow. So more than half of our Russian employees opted to move to Croatia, and this is not a huge number, but 60 families move from Russia to Croatia. Those families brought computing knowledge, and they are happily, thanks to our government and also European Union policy, are now happily employed in this country and enjoying life here. We tried to do more, but so far, being a company, and not only one company, to be told, that trying to bring the foreign talents into the continent, we are often coming into the obstacles that we cannot overcome. Those obstacles could be the medical insurance, the pension funds, and many, many details that make non-European engineers a little bit tougher to adopt than they have this at home. But we'll never stop. This is regarding the talents, and that we have a problem that the top talents are attracted by the rich companies, rich businesses to move for life, at least for the professional life, into the West. So for the next conference, to be successful on this, we would need some broader public, how to overcome the obstacles. Because the will exists, the political will exists, but we have problems that we didn't overcome yet. The second thing I would like to touch is sometimes we talk about Europe is over-regulated, and I will give you the opposite example. You all remember I think 2018 when the GDPR was introduced, and there was a joke about how to overcome this problem in 4 steps. I believe it goes with the help of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, the 4 steps. But at the end, it wasn't that complicated, and we quickly implemented the data protection rules. And what happened on the foreign markets, as we are present in all continents, it happens that we were better prepared for what's coming next than our competitors. Happened that South Africa, Brazil, and a couple of bigger markets basically just copy European rules of data protection and introduced to their markets immediately after the GDPR was introduced. So give us as a company that implements such rules a market advantage that we can offer to the businesses in those markets. This is one good example. Now there is a lot of talks about AI and regulation of the AI. I hope that Europe will find the strength to to overcome these obstacles as well. We are very active in this space as well. We understand the great importance, again, on data protections and some ethics issues as well here, but there is a very active communication happening right now across Europe. So the third thing that I would like to emphasize and finish with it is that we are a successful story, but we can be disrupted at any time, as we disrupted some companies when we show up on the market, and we are seeing that disruption is coming more from the west coast of US than from Europe or even China. China is very much backed with the government behind, and in west coast of US, the free market agenda is very well known. Now, we bootstrapped the company, meaning that we became a unicorn without any investment, from 0 to 1 billion value, and only then we started seeking for the first round of financing to be able to grow also inorganically. So to start buying some smaller competitors, to buying market shares and similar. And we start roadshow looking for the investors. We talk with the big equity funds, we talk with some mid-size, a small one, etc., but guess what? None of them was European. They were all American. And at the end, we were founded by the American company in 2020 for 200 million, which we spent off acquiring 2 American companies. So it's very important to enter the US market with some business already in place. Disruption happening different way than here. So for the next meeting, it will be very, very prudent and smart for European business to have strong banking sector present on such a conference, and some deals can happen also in similar assembly. So with this, I will thank you, and I will thank you for your time and finish my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pogacnik. Since we have just a couple of more minutes left, and in order not to disturb the next panel regarding time, I would just like to conclude this panel with 2 short things. First is, of course, if there are any questions from the audience to our panelists, please, feel free to ask our questions. And second thing is, if I can ask our panelists to give maybe some short closing remarks in the direction of how do you see the future of European digital sovereignty, and of course, regarding this event here, how can we improve, communication between Adriatic Ionian countries in the near future, so that we really work together. So, questions, please feel free, raise your hand. I think we have some additional mics there. If not, we'll hear you, and our panelists, if you can give just some closing remarks, please.
Okay, so then I will start regarding the concept of digital sovereignty. First of all, I would like to point out that this is not a question of technology. This is a political decision what digital sovereignty should be. For example, if you look at the digital compass that the European Commission has published, it is proposed that 20% of the chip production should be in Europe. This is an element of digital sovereignty that has been politically defined, agreed, and there appears to be consent. However, we can, I think, identify some elements that contribute to digital sovereignty. And one of them is perhaps to have the choice to select different options and not depend on one single source that is beyond the control of the European communities. So this is one point, and the other is to also influence the technology. If you think about many scientific breakthroughs are based on digital technology as enabling technology. And if the availability of digital technology is dependent on decisions that are made outside of our scientific communities, or where no feedback or influence is possible, then this can also have an impact and is a risk for the scientific and technology development within the European Union. I think addressing this in one way or another, and the European Process Initiative is one little project in this effort, can help to mitigate these risks. Regarding participation, I can only point out that I think one extremely important element in this are the collaborative projects that are funded and provided by the European Union. We are just one example how we provide this. These are usually collaboration between at least 3 different countries is a requirement. We don't have any activities that are focused only on one single country, but also to make some effort to find ways to design projects that allow participation for new participants, for participants in environments that are less developed, to learn and integrate into the more advanced communities. Thank you.
Thank you. So, the sovereignty is an invention made by Jean Bodin in 1526 in 6 books about Republic. Unfortunately, Jean Bodin didn't quote the digital sovereignty, but only the sovereignty. And the constitutional law brings again the sovereignty and the introduction of the constitutions. So we have to interpret the volunty of Jean Bodin today in the session. In particular, we have a few seconds to do that, and my proposal is given that Adrian is an Interreg program, because Adrian is an Interreg program, we have to enhance and promote Interreg program in order to enhance local authorities and, in general, local organizations, economic chambers, university, to use data to give and to generate new digital services and new digital awareness in order also to plan and to foresee the future. Without that, and doing that in order also to compete with the technology brought by American companies and Chinese companies. Without that, I have the fear that the only presence of calculus power, computing power, computational power in our regions could be insufficient in order to realize something that can give an happy afternoon to Jean Bodin. Thank you.
My shoes are always a little bit different. You're coming from the business perspective and experience, of course, being a unicorn that grew from the being startup, and that's why our perspective is also European sovereignty can exist only if we start developing a digital product in Europe and then protecting the market in democratic way, of course, in Europe, and to create society where we will make appealing also for other smaller companies that will come here. So to create programs that will bring the companies within the European Union and export the services outside. But at any time, we are very sure that we are protecting the data, not only just the personal data, but also the business data and stuff like this.
Thank you. Is there any question from the audience to our panelists? No, if not, then I would like to thank all the panelists, our introductory note speaker, and of course I would like to thank all of you for being here this session, and with that we are concluding this first panel. Thank you.
In the rest of the day, we have a next panel on the program. So the next one is of the completely different topic, but the most important topic definitely for every state. I'm delighted to welcome you in person or online, depends where are you, to our second panel discussion on digitalization today, transforming governments in the digital era, success stories, challenges, and the future of digital transformation. So if some of your friends are nearby, call them to jump in, because we would like to have you here, of course, on this discussion too. In this digital age, the transformation of governance is not just a trend, so I will call my guest today, Mr. Nikola Modrušan, Deputy State Secretary, Central State Officer to the Development of Digital Society from Croatia. Take your seat whenever you like. Daniel de Bernardin, okay. Nice to have you here, Institutional Relations and Communications Department for Digital Transformation of the Italian government, of course, from Italy. Thank you. And Mr. Bojan Petrovski, Head of Business Development, Elikosif Ltd, North Macedonia. Hello. And Mr. Ivan Lupic, Business Development Manager, Ericsson Nikola Tesla, from Croatia. People, where are you? We need you here. I hope that you will be back from a coffee break. So please let them know. And of course, we have some people online. Thank them for that. In this digital age, the transformation, I will just take a few words for the beginning. In this digital age, the transformation of governance is not just a trend, you know that, but a necessity, clearly. So we are here to investigate the insights and experiences from successful digitalization initiatives across various domains, of course, and public administration. So we will explore the success stories, the challenges faced, and how they were overcome. Of course, these four guys will definitely know the best and the most of it. We will also shed light to the upcoming plans in the field of public administration, the focus of digitization in ever evolving, and it's crucial to stay ahead, of course, of the curve. We will discuss the areas that will be in the center of digital transformation in the future. Moreover, we will be showcasing successful projects that demonstrate the tangible benefits of digitalization in public administration services. So these stories are showing us, most important thing, how digitization can enhance efficiency, transparency from the other side, and citizen engagement. That is the most important topic and thing. Our esteemed panelists today have embraced digital transformation and are leading the way in redefining government, so they will share their valuable insights, learnings, and visions for the future. So it's my honor to have them here. Do we have this one? Yeah. Thank you a lot. Warm welcome one more time. I hope you're feeling good here in Šibenik in Croatia, and the forum
Thank
is
you very much.
going okay. We would love to have a little bit more people in the audience today, of course, but that's what's happening when you show people sea and sun in the middle of the day.
And good weather.
Yeah, and the good weather, of course. Let's start from Mr. Modrushan, maybe
Okay.
it's the easier. Oh, we see each other, yes, part of it. Please, sometimes looks like when we look at the example of Croatia, that everything is going a little bit slow sometimes, maybe not in every case, but in this field of priorities. So what is the overarching vision for digital transformation, for your opinion, in government services in Croatia? What would you say?
Okay. Thank you very much for calling me on or inviting me on this panel. I'm glad that we have such a nice public. Regarding the vision and regarding the digital transformation in Croatia, first of all, I need to say that we have two digital, I would say, strategy documents right now that are in power. So first of all, this is the digital strategy for Croatia to 2032. And the next, I would say, major document or paper is digital roadmap, so path to digital decade. So as you know, we are very devoted to the goals and to the subject of European Commission digital decade. So we are right now putting everything into the direction of goals of the European Commission. Regarding that, we have a lot of plans. We have a lot of projects that are right now ongoing. I will not say that something is going slow, but because we are going, I would say, very fast, because we were by the ESI index. It's no longer in power, but by the ESI index we were last one in the European Union, and right now we are something on the 20 level of 20. So regarding that, our vision, we have, I would say, 4 pillars that are the most important. So first of all, you need to have infrastructure. So we are spending, I would say, a lot of money into the infrastructure. So infrastructure is very important. So digital broadband, very high capacity networks. Then our goal is also to have more digital uptake or digital upskilling our citizens. Not only our citizens, also our manpower or civil servants in our line ministries. And regarding our strategy, for example, we want, and we will, I suppose, succeed to have more, have 100% of online public services up to 2030. So some reps that we want to digitalize all procedures and all services that we right now have. And I will tell you a little bit more about our projects, but our goal is to have, I would say, a digital society at the end.
What is, when you mentioned examples, what is the slowest part and what is relatively fast part of that project?
I would say that, I don't know, 4 years ago, we started to implement government service bus. It's fancy name, but it's something that it's related to interoperability, and it connects all based registers in Croatia. Mm-hmm. And we are, I would say, very fast with that, because I don't know, 2 years ago we have 7 million of transactions over this system, mm-hmm. this GSB, government service bus. And last year, so near the second or third quarter of 2023, we have 150 million. And right now, so it's not, it's something in the middle of 2024, we have more than 250 million of transactions. Mm. So that's very, I would say, fast. That's a very big number, for example. Okay. And by my opinion, my humble opinion, we are maybe a little bit slow regarding the building the networks of high capacity. Okay. It's not only, so the money is not a problem here, it's the problem of organization, because we have a lot of regions, a lot of municipalities, and in some areas the operators like telecom are not interested to have investments in that area. So this is some reasons why we need to push, and we are pushing it over the RRF. So this is resistance and resilience funds and etc.
So challenges.
Yes, a lot.
A lot of them and all over again. Mr. De Bernardin, could you share maybe some examples? We are on examples right now, so maybe you can show some good examples of digitalization projects in Italy.
Yeah. So I represent the department in the Italian government who's in charge of digitalizing public services. And it's actually it used to be a very small department. And obviously, as COVID hit, it changed completely the perspective of how much digitalization of public services was a priority, because people could not leave their houses, and suddenly they needed to access public services. If they weren't digitalized, it was a problem for them. So with COVID, the department grew a lot, and especially thanks to Next Generation EU, a lot of funds were given out to digitalize public services. In Europe and in Italy as well, 27% of our national plan is just dedicated to digitalizing public services. And as Croatia, apparently we were not so good on the DESI index, so there was a lot of road to walk on. And so basically we decided to deal with it in a very structural way. Italy is a big country, but it's mostly a country of small cities. We have approximately a little less 8,000 municipalities, and 80% of the municipalities have less than 5,000 citizens.
So more complex.
So it's very complex. But we also knew that the only way of digitalizing public services was through the digitalization of local municipalities. So our project that was financed by Next Generation EU, which is called the PIA Digitale 2026, so obviously the attempt of digitalizing public administration by the end of 2026, decided to take on board the whole life cycle of digital services. So basically we put on a platform that gave access to funds to every single municipality to digitalize every aspect of their life, both infrastructure, so cloud migration, common platforms, so data interoperability, which is obviously key, digitalizing public services, as well as digital identity. And the big change there was that municipalities, as well as schools, as well as medical institutions, they didn't need to present projects to achieve the funding, as usually happens with EU funding, but they were automatically awarded an amount of money depending on how big they were, which is the lump sums they're called in the European Union, which is a new way of giving out European money. Basically, you don't have to write a project, we're just going to award you a sum of money according to how big you are, and we're going to give you the money if you achieve a specific objective, rather than report your expenditure. And this for us was a very quick way to have everybody on board with a single strategy. And we think this was with digitalization, you need to have everybody on board with the same strategy. And this was the best and fastest way to do that with an immense amount of money that was available. Italy had little over 6 billion euros only on digitalization, which is something that we'd never seen before. And so with this strategy, we managed to start in a very quick way. And as of now, we have over 17,000 public administrations currently on board on our platform, and over 55,000 digitalization projects ongoing. And this is obviously just the beginning, because we're halfway through the Next Generation EU program. But we understood that in order to change the way digitalization had been done in Italy, we needed to implement in the whole country a single strategy that encompassed every single aspect of digitalizing services. And so far that happened. It turned out to be the change in the history of Italy regarding digitalization, because we are improving regarding the digitalization of public services, and this was possible only because this specific strategy was implemented.
Okay, I found some fun facts here, in particular with the kickoff of Next Generation EU. You have been working on a very challenging goal of speeding up the digitalization of local public services, working specifically with the local municipality and schools. I wanted to ask on that track also, and on the same questions, maybe just explain some examples that helped to institutions, to citizens benefit from digitalization in these services, such as schools or some other, depends.
Obviously, it's important to involve municipalities and schools in this process because they give out the services that are closest to the needs of citizens.
Of course.
You know, it's the ones that people see on their everyday life that's going to be a change. What we found to be successful is also involving municipalities and schools in the process and doing something that is very hard when doing policy, which is listening. And so we started speaking with municipalities all over the countries, with schools all over the countries, before we gave out the grants, in order to understand what exactly were their needs. We signed up treaties with the Association of Italian Municipalities, with the Conference of Italian Regions, because we wanted to make sure that the relationship with stakeholders had everybody on board in order to see what were the exact needs of these administrations. And so speaking with administration on a day-to-day basis, we are actually finding that it's easier to implement policies when you have a direct contact with the ones that are actually using the money. And another an innovation we implemented is that for the first time a government institution was on the ground. We hired over 200 people actually working on the ground in schools and municipalities, working with local governments to implement digitalization solutions. Okay. And this was a big change, and I'll conclude, because it actually made sure that the things were happening. Okay. Because a lot of times with EU money, unfortunately, funding is granted and then nothing happens. And so if you follow projects on a day-to-day basis, you have with people and not only digital,
of course,
you make sure things can happen.
Okay, maybe you can explain me, maybe you, or depends from who wants to answer that question, from A to Z, from the beginning of idea to implementation to everything work. Was that, it's a year, it's a 5, it's a 12, it depends probably from a client from the other one side and people from the other, but what's the period? I don't know, for your example, for schools.
Well, it's a very long process because it's not only about digitalizing services, it's about digitalizing processes, it's about changing the way people work. We call it digital transformation because it really is a transformation. You're not going to resolve the issue by just, allowing parents to enroll their kids in schools through a website. That doesn't solve the issue. That solves the issue on the short-term problem. But at the end of the day, if you really want to lay down a real transformation, you need to look at a long-term period, and you need to make sure that the culture inside government changes. And this also means education to digital tools. So for our example, which is we work on EU money, Next Generation EU, technically it's supposed to be a 5-year project at the end of 2026, but we already know that we need to start looking after 2026 because it's a long way ahead, and it's not only services, but it's the processes behind the services, the way people work.
And for each program, of course, different is process, so there's no one simple answer on that question. Mr. Lupic, can you share maybe some specific example of successful digitalization initiative, for example, from public services that your company has conducted? Maybe it's the easiest part.
Sure. Our journey in the digital started a long time ago, being a part of a global company, Ericsson. We ourselves perceive ourselves as a global company, but with a regional focus. And I would say that we have had some kind of experience with all of the countries that are present in this forum, I would say, in different levels of maturity. Even Italy, where we have partners in different European research and development projects, both in public and in private sector, through Slovenia, and all the way to Cyprus, where we hopefully will have a big public administration project starting real soon now, I hope. In almost all of the countries we've had, but of course most of our experience has been in Croatia, where we started more than 20 years ago with the digitalization of healthcare. So in Croatia, we started in a more different way than in Italy. We started on a centralized national level by providing the centralized services like e-prescription, electronic healthcare record, patient portal, and stuff like that. And this is a journey that has been going for more than 20 years. I think that we are very proud of that, both us in Ericsson Nikola Tesla and in Croatia, because this is something that is based on the continuity of the program and on the project throughout the 2 decades that it has been going on. Even though we have had something like 17 or 18 ministers of health in the meantime, the strategy and the vision still is going on. So I would say that is one good example of the project. The second one that I would like to say, which has been very transformative as well, is the one related to land administration, registry of the land and the ownership. That's also a project that started by, harmonizing and cleaning the data about the land, and then building applications on top of that. Building administration of infrastructure, which is beyond the ground, or buildings, which is above the ground. So this is also a basis for some different other systems that are services or transformations in our society, like, real estate tax. Okay. You cannot do that without having such systems, such registers, which are etalon, such government service buses that have been built through time that can be used to develop these kind of services. There are many others. We have been active in working with different ministries in Croatia, also with our Central States Office for the Development of Digital Society on building the government service bus. And one of the most recent ones that I must mention is the once only technical system, which enables connectivity to all the other EU states through enabling 21 services to be integrated across the European Union. And that's something that we are helping to do to our central office as well. Some of the examples, there are many, I would say, throughout these 20 years, but this is something that initially I would like to mention.
Thanks for your answer. Mr. Petrovski, almost the same question for you. Do you agree with this? Can you tell maybe something more or some examples from Macedonia?
Sure. Let me begin by providing my contribution to what Daniel was saying and your question about the length.
Okay.
So you mentioned 1 year. It's never 1 year.
Of course.
It's at least several years.
Baby example.
it's at least several years.
Okay.
It all begins with an idea within the civil service or the political leadership.
Okay.
Then they need to find the budget. In the case of Macedonia, it's either a donation by the EU or some other donor, EUSAIR, etc., or the state budget. Recently, it's more and more state budget. Historically, we at Elikosoft have been in this game for almost 20 years now in digitalization of public services. Initially, it was more donations. Now it's more state budget. So then after the budget is there, the implementation phase comes along. That usually takes, depending on the size of the project, anywhere from a year to several years. And then the biggest part, which my colleagues already spoke about, is the actual digital transformation which comes after the system is installed and when the service needs to start using it. That's a huge challenge.
With bugs and everything, of course?
Not with bugs, with the culture of the, well, yes, with bugs, obviously, but also of the culture of transformation and the typical civil service culture of not willing to transform. This we find is the biggest challenge, and this is what, in terms, if we look at digital transformation as a whole, not just implementing a single project, this is one of the biggest challenges, let's say. Now, to back this up with an example that we did back in, which is a really, really long, it's not even a single project, it's 3 big projects to develop a single system, which started back in 2008. The title is the EBUS, or the Integrated Database for Aliens, including asylum, migrations and visas. So this was one of the conditions that Macedonia had to get the visa-free regime with the EU, which we got in 2010. So we started implementing the first project out of 3 with the help of Norway. It was a Norwegian donation that we implemented. Basically what we did was there was many databases in different ministries responsible for foreigners, for their stay in the country, for their working status, employment status, etc., which are Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Labour and Social Policy, and the Employment Service Agency. They all had their separate dealings with the foreigners coming in. The goal of the project was to integrate that system into one digital database and one digital platform, so that each of the institutions can access it separately, and that each foreigner will have a single file, not separate files in all those institutions. We did that successfully. We got the status in 2010, visa-free status. Then we had 2 more projects financed by different agencies of the United Nations that deal with migrations. Everything lasted until 2015, 2016.
Okay.
And now we can say that we are ready for membership when it comes to this system. So even after we enter the EU, we will not need to make any amendments to it. The next projects will need to come when we want to enter the Schengen system. Then we will need to adjust it further. So that's one example. A more recent example, also with the Ministry of Interior. We digitalized the system of evidence, digital evidence management, particularly when it comes to the forensic examinations of digital devices, such as mobile phones, laptops, etc. Anything that is seized during a criminal procedure and then evidence needs to be collected from within it. We digitalized that process. So the entire process of collecting the evidence, storing the evidence, duplicating the evidence, following the legal procedure, obviously. And as a result, now we have a system which is more transparent, much more accountable for the citizen, much more accountable to the judicial authorities, because this is where, on one side, the institutions that collect the evidence and the citizens meet in order to discuss what really happened. Just a couple of examples I can name.
On that meeting point, everything is great or not so much?
That depends.
Okay, for example.
With respect to the evidence and the system that we developed, certainly satisfactory, because the evidence is more secured. They're within a digital platform, stored in a secure place, not within a computer of an employee, as it was before. Not really secure. The employee can retire, change jobs, etc. Now it's there, it's secure, the institutions are more accountable to the judicial systems. They can make quick decisions with respect to what they need to be accountable about. So we see it as a huge step up of the system, a good example. And this one didn't take as many years. This took 1.5 to 2 years to implement.
Shorter, okay.
Actually, the civil servants that we came across in this department, in the Ministry of Interior, they were actually keen to get a system to support them in their work. So this is a good example in terms of how the civil service handled it and how they're using it. Unlike some others where typically it wasn't their idea, it was either the political leadership's idea or there was a donation, and they were used to working the way they were doing things before, not really keen on transforming the way they work, reform it, so to speak. So we can witness examples in both directions.
Okay, thank you. I see some reactions from Italy down there. If you want to jump in with some questions or you want to have some comment, of course, all of you, we are like on a coffee. I imagine that more as a coffee and discussion than asking my questions to you. So if you want to, in any moment, jump in, just share your informations. Of course, no matter is here 5 or 500 people, is the same. It's our topic, so enjoy that topic. What is the state of play regarding digitalization in your country, Mr. Modrushan here? What are some good examples, maybe, or how these actions improve public services?
Okay, thank you for the question.
Yeah, it's like one but big question.
One big question, which involved to hear something from the history, I would say. Yeah. So I think that 10 years ago we have some study and etc. just to see in which phase we are, what we need to do, and where we will be in 10 years. This is something that we are doing right now over our strategy and over our roadmaps that we wrote down. And then we came to the conclusion that, first of all, we need to have some kind of infrastructure. So because we have a lot of line ministries, we have a lot of institutions, and in that moment, our mission was to create, we called it CDU, or Shared Service Center, or data or government's cloud. So this is the data center in power from the country, from the government, and we implement this next year. So we finished with the project, and I would say that this was our start of everything, because with that shared service center, it's not only infrastructure, it's also shared services that we are developing for the public services, for the citizens, and also for the institutions. We are making, for example, building blocks. We are calling it building blocks. For example, national identification system that we are using for authentication in e-citizens platform, e-građani, and etc. So we built a lot of shared services. We make some kind of infrastructure. We developed and in some way put into the life as a production this government service bus, and this interoperability that we are talking about a lot of today. We heard also on the first panel, interoperability is just the communication between two systems at short. So this was our mission. And I can say that nowadays we are thinking, okay, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, that we talk about digitalization. And right now, everybody here on the panel say, okay, digital transformation. So this is completely different thing. Okay. So nowadays we are thinking to make the more complex and the more I would say automated services. So we made this. It was I would say the most important and the big ICT project in the country. 45 million of euro to implement this shared service center, to implement this interoperability bus and this shared services. Afterwards, we have some upgrade of this shared service center and for example, last year we finished with our e-enrollment project. So this is the system which enrolls kids into the schools, into the kindergarten, and etc. So we cannot succeed this if you don't have infrastructure, if you don't have the people. So one and of good examples is that we afterwards we have know-how. For example, our agency, APIS, who is responsible for this state cloud, is now selling this knowledge to Estonia, to Poland, to other countries, how to make this cloud. So it's not only infrastructure, it's also processes, it's organization, it's semantic, it's everything. So it's a very, 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 very long period. You need to have very, very long period in mind to finish this project. We built this 10 years, you know. So this is, I would say, the good
Long
example.
period.
And that transfer entire thing, I would say, digitalization, digital transformation in the public domain. For example, nowadays, each system that is right now in the phase of developing is using this infrastructure, is using this GSB. So we are really thinking, maybe not consciously, about our sovereignty. So each base registers about it. So the registers about your birth, the data about your birth, the data about your address, and etc. So this was the base data, authentic data about you, about the citizens, are right now in this center. It's the new technology. We have 50 people that are right now working on this. On this shared service center. So I think that's a very good example how you can use, first of all, the money from the EU funds to create something good. We also have a lot of municipalities, as also said the colleague, about 600, 500 and something. And it's small. I think that the smallest one has, I don't know, 500 people. So they don't have the power, they don't have the money to build their own services to implement the new technologies and etc. For example, e-documentation, pisarnica, or
just wanted to ask you, ID cards, new ID cards,
yes,
the
new
chip,
ID cards.
is the part of that story with Certilia and stuff? No?
Yes.
Okay.
For example, we have projects where we buy these cards and we gave them to municipalities. We buy the cards and give
what is
them.
the response of the citizens?
But people are struggling with that because they are lacking of digital skills, at least base digital skills. So in our mission, in our goal for the next 5, 6, or 7 years is to have more than 80% of our citizens to have at least basic digital skills. So it's not only, as I said, infrastructure. It's not only the IT system. It's organizational part, processes, etc. We have a lot of projects that are ongoing right now over the next generation, or as we call the MPAO, National Plan Oporavka Otpornosti, and we have 89 milestones and targets that are just as a reforms focused on digitalization. Okay. So more than 1.5 billion euro.
I have some basic digital skills, and I made one from Certilia, and then I failed because I changed my password 2 times, and it was like, oh, okay, I don't have time for this.
For example,
so maybe sometimes people get to that point that, okay, I don't have enough time for this, and because we are living so dynamically and fast, and people are nervous, there's no time for these moments, and I don't know, support service or customer service is the better name for that. I don't know, is it always available, and stuff. So there's so many layers, and each project depends. Are we talking about school, or are we talking about passports, IDs, whatever? It's really complex stuff. So it's unfortunately one panel, it's not enough to talk about all of these, and I want to jump from question to question for each one of you. So I will just ask Mr. Bernardin, the collaboration, maybe in that part that you mentioned with the multiple stakeholders. Can you describe how you manage the projects that involve multiple stakeholders, such as different government departments, local municipalities, institutions, private sector partners, citizen groups?
I think that another big innovation that we implemented was open dialogue with all the stakeholders involved. And I think it's very important because as we said, it's a digital transformation and you need to have everybody on board. And as earlier I mentioned about dialogue with local authorities, public administration, which is one part of it, which for us was very successful. As I said, we have people on the ground helping us listen to administrations on a daily basis, report back and telling us what we can improve about our policies. But this obviously was easy to figure it out. We need to talk to municipalities. Another thing we implemented, which I think was important, was the involvement of the private sector in our dialogue. Because if you look at it from a purely economic point of view, Next Generation EU it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money that can change economy in a big way. So government actually have the power to influence the market in a good way, hopefully. And so what we did is that we opened discussion tables with the main private partners in Italy that were working with public administration, talking to them, telling them what were the opportunities coming ahead, and making sure that what they were going to propose at the end of the day to public administrations once we gave them the money were quality solutions. Because if you don't do this kind of job, the risk is that you digitalize services. One of the projects we have is to allow schools and municipalities to renew their website, for example, or to migrate in cloud. And if you don't make sure that the projects aim at a quality, and also making sure that all the projects talk to themselves, between themselves, so you do a lot of cross development, it's all a waste of energy and time. So we talked to the private sector. We're also very proud to say that we put at the same table local municipalities and private companies that work with local municipalities in order to have them talk to each other and make sure that we're implementing the right solutions for the specific circumstances that we're dealing with. And this helps because we're all part of the same, in our case, country. We all want the same interests. And if you only think about the, reaching the targets and milestones that are imposed upon us by the European Union, you're not going to go far. It's not that. It's making sure that those targeted milestones allow you to take on a journey that brings your country in a different place and makes lives of citizens better. And so if you want to do it in a different way, dialogue with stakeholders is fundamental, and putting private and public actors together is key. And again, listening and to different stakeholders also help, because it's a matter of not only creating projects and making sure the projects turn out to be successful, but you have to do quality work that allows the local administrations, which are the ones we work with, to survive even after the end of Next Generation EU, or even after the end of money coming from European institutions, because they have to walk with their own legs. And which is also related to something else we were talking about, which is people, then maybe we can talk about later, because obviously education is key, both inside administrations, inside government, but also citizens. And I think that's certainly one of the priorities to make the whole process complete.
Thank you. Definitely, always we come back on education for every topic.
Every topic, it always goes back to.
Of course. Mr. Modroshan, can you just finish the same part, the same question, but the part of the challenges? What do you think, what did you encounter during the implementations of digital projects, like interoperability or various systems being integrated and stuff? What are the challenges there? Main challenges you see?
Main challenges. So when you have such a big project, you have a lot of challenges. For example, first challenge that I have in mind right now is manpower.
What is?
Manpower. So
manpower?
You don't have enough resources to deal with, for example, the project of making the state cloud was 45 million euro. So that was a lot 6 or 7 years ago. A lot of money. This was our first I would say the challenge. The next challenge is also with organizational stuff. You have, for example, my colleague from the Ericsson Tesla here, they are working for us this once only technical system, which are very connected to, it's connected to SDG, Single Digital Gateway, so 21 procedures and maybe more than 100 of different kind of services. So this is cross-border exchange of evidences and some kind of data. And there are maybe 15 institutions and line ministries in that process. So it's so we are talking about a lot of money. My colleague from Italy also said that we have a lot of money. Europe said it's not helicopter money. You cannot give this money and just throw from the helicopter. You have some procedures, and there is a lot of problem how to. A big problem and challenge is governance, because we have money, we have everything, and it's very big problem how to governance everything that. We have the Center State Office for Digitalization. 5 years ago, we have 20, 25 people. Right now, we have 80 people in the office. So we are building our capacities to work with this.
Okay.
The next challenge is technology. So we have a lot of silos. We have a lot of different kind of old systems that you need to upgrade and etc. Because right now, nobody said that right now the central focus is security. So you have, everybody heard for cyber wars and etc. And we are happy that we have our state cloud, that we have everything in that we are thinking about the security of citizens' data, about the healthcare data, and etc. So the main challenge is right now with the security, as I said, with the manpower, with the organization, with the processes, how to governance all this, because when you are talking about just one procedure, you have a lot of services beneath of that, and then you need to work to make some kind of organization for, I don't know, or meetings for 5 or 7 institutions that have 7 different ministries, and that's quite a big challenge.
Okay, when we talk about challenges, maybe Mr. Lupic is the best that you answer the other part of these questions. So from the one side we have clients, from the other side we have you. What's your answer on these challenges?
Everybody has challenges. We have challenges as well.
Of course, but what's the answer? What are the solutions on these challenges?
The solutions for the challenges.
For this one, from the government.
I mean, we have been dedicated for a long time to this segment of digital transformation, and the things that we have done once we can do quite easily again. So what I would say in this context of this forum, I would say that what I would like to foster is to being able to share these ideas, to share these experiences, to share these solutions that we have developed and that have great possibility of replication in many, if not all, of the countries that are present in this forum. I'm definitely sure that it is possible, but when we are given the chance to prove it, then it is possible to see that. What is missing is a kind of knowledge sharing sessions, matchmaking sessions between the countries and the projects that have been done previously within the context of this forum or this, I would say, regional initiative. I think that it would be a good idea to see what are the kind of the project that can be easily replicated in each country or another. So that's one thing, because what Mr. Modrushan here mentioned, it is a universal problem that there is not enough resources. It does not really make sense, and it's impossible to do the same projects again and again from the scratch. We need to reuse what has been done before. We know how many IT experts are missing in the EU alone, and it is not possible to allocate enough people to develop all the projects that we have planned or that are planned within the countries. Even in Croatia, if you take our universities and the number of experts that are being produced, they, first of all, they will work for companies that are developing games, that are developing something for Facebook, for Google. They will be working for some other EU countries, for some other projects there. So there is a very limited pool left of people who are able to work on the IT projects in public administration. Very little pool of companies who can do that. And if it's like that in Croatia, I assume that it's very similar in other countries in the region as well. So why don't we replicate more? I would say still with pride. You know, we have projects which are finished, we have public procurement documents which are public, available, we have companies that are willing to share knowledge. Let's use that.
Mr. Petrovski, do you agree with this? Is it the same in Macedonia?
Quite similar. I would say that what Mr. Modrushan mentioned about the manpower and the lack of manpower in the institutions is not only a problem for the institutions, it's a problem for us, the suppliers of services, because we need partners to work with. Somebody needs to maintain the systems that we provide. I'd say that's the biggest challenge we face. In Macedonia, we are quite a let's say, a big producer of IT engineers. There's an interesting map of European countries going on social media. What's the dream job that you have? An IT engineer stands in Macedonia, and it's the only place in Europe that it has that job as a dream job. So as you can imagine, our faculties and universities on developers or IT engineers are full, and we produce many each year. But it's challenging for them to, it's challenging for the public sector to attract any of them, mostly because of the salary issue, because in the private sector they can get a lot more, and then there's a law under which they get paid.
They're not motivated.
So this is a legal issue that the government needs to resolve, that on a certain level in the service, IT engineers need to be paid more than comparably than the others. I'm not a legal expert, so I don't know how this can be resolved legally, but therein lies the issue. The labor market has enough engineers, but not enough of them work in the public institutions. Then other challenges, budget is becoming less and less of a challenge. Historically, it was a challenge for the public sector to provide a proper budget for a certain project. These days, it's still an issue, but it's much less of an issue than before. Then from our side, once we get a project that we need to implement, we also need to organize a team, very often on a short notice, very often an international team, because sometimes this is the requirement of the project itself.
Definitely.
And then there's issues of integrating those different people that come from not only from different professions but from different nationalities. Yes, we all speak English, but even though there's not a language barrier, there may be a mindset barrier in integrating these kind of teams. And this is what we face.
Layer by layer, layer by layer. The same for you. Next question is in the context of Adriatic Ionian region. That's the topic today. How does your company facilitate cross-border collaboration in public sector digitalization projects? What challenges have you faced in aligning different national digital standards and regulation, and how did you address them? Some specific one, maybe, if you want to share.
Well, in practice, we have many more projects which are, implementing Western European systems into the Macedonian system rather than cross-border. The challenges of those are already explained, but in terms of cross-border, for example, which is related to regulation, we do have such issues. One of our leading a solution for the private sector is a construction software, and the major Macedonian construction companies are using it. They also have projects in neighboring countries, Western Balkan countries, other EU members from the Balkans, or even Central Asia. And because our solution follows the local regulation, we need to adjust our solution on these countries, even neighboring countries.
Do you hear it? Or?
No.
Oh, sorry.
It's the empty space, unfortunately. You hear us, but we don't hear each other.
Okay.
So please proceed.
Yeah, I'll try to speak directly in the microphone
Maybe,
if that
try.
helps. Yeah, okay. So when our clients, these construction companies, have a project in a neighboring country in the region, the Adriatic region, which happens, then we get a request for them to adjust our solution to the local legislation. Obviously, they need to provide the input of what that change should be, and they do, but the challenge here is that they put all their effort into winning the project. Obviously, that's the most important thing for them. And then the local authorities there need to feed them with the input on how the regulation is. Then we've got really short deadlines on the implementation. The actual difference is not that complicated for us to do, but usually they win a tender and then there's a very short time for us to act. So cross-border wise or regionally wise, this is one of the issues we face.
And of course, you from the other one side see one kind of solution and you know the topic, and the other side usually doesn't understand the whole procedure of and complex task. The same question, Mr. Lupic, do you agree with this? If you heard anything that Mr. Petrovsky said, do you agree with these complex topic at Adriatic-Ionian relation, or no?
I cannot say that I fully agree because I didn't hear everything, but in general, I understand the principle. The question was that?
The same one. So in the context of the region, Adriatic-Ionian region, how does your company facilitate across the border collaboration in these sectors? Yeah.
So basically, we don't have that big an issue. We have representative offices also in Bosnia and Herzegovina and Kosovo, which enable us to access other markets in the region as well. We have at any given time 5 to 10 EU research projects in our companies with many different companies from the EU and broader, which enables us to select the best partners for projects. We have inter-regional projects that are going on. So I would say that in that perspective, we are doing the best we can to promote cooperation. Yeah, I would say that we are quite okay. You know.
Satisfied?
Yes. Yeah.
For now. Okay. So you are realistic.
We are here. We are here also to help.
A good one. Mr. Bernardin, I think this would be the last question because we have a lack of time. So let's try to put each one of you in like 3 minutes if we can. What is the long-term vision for digital governance in Italy? How do you see public administration evolving over the next decade, and how will citizens really profit from it, really profit?
It's obviously a very complex question to answer in 3 minutes. But I think there are some things that need to be certainly at the center of our priorities. The first thing is actually implementing an easier life for citizens thanks to technology and an easier access to digital tools and digital services thanks to technology. We're not there yet. And it's you know, for example, in Italy, recently we celebrated the fact that there's an online registry where everybody can download their official documents, like, you know, birth certificate, their wedding certificate. And it's ironic because that's not technically progress, meaning an ideal world would be where the country doesn't even need to ask you for official documentation because it already knows that you were born on a specific date, you were married on a specific date. So at the moment, I think that we still need to work on the small things in order to implement a real digital governance. And again, I'm only talking about small, simple services because those are the ones that, you know, affect every citizen. And then education, as we were saying earlier. Everybody said here today that there's a manpower issue inside government, central government, local government, and it's a big issue because governments and public administration are not attractive on the work market, which is something apparently similar in every country. So it's very hard for central government, local government to have that technical skill set to implement long-lasting projects, and also citizens. Citizens don't have the basic digital skills. It's useless to digitalize if citizens don't know how to use the tools, don't have the right culture. And for example, another project we are working on is having facilities all over the country that help citizens use digital services, especially the elderly. And these little things help because they deal with the more problematic categories of the country. But at the same time, there's not a real digital culture in the world. You know, if you ask many parents, they'd say, yeah, their kid is on the phone all day long, but they have no digital culture because they don't know, the risks that are involved with digital tools, cybersecurity, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot has to be done with on that respect.
Okay.
So,
about the risks, we'll talk on some other panel.
okay.
Because definitely it's not enough 1 hour for the risks. And if we talk about safety, it's completely other topic because we want to go digital, but are we safe, really? And what is with our future? That is completely something other. But in Croatia, which areas of public administrations are currently, Mr. Modrušan, under digitalized and need immediate attention here in Croatia?
It's difficult to divide the projects or divide the sectors because we need to.
But we know who needs help the most.
Yes,
right now.
I think that the most important thing right now is to build this, as I said, high capacity networks. Because if you don't have enough power on your mobile phone, for example, that regarding the network, I'm saying that. Because if you don't have that in mind, for example, that with the remotes we are doing the robot taxis. If you don't have the right capacity networks over the city of Zagreb, you cannot have the automated robot taxis. So by my standpoint, the first pillar, the first thing that we need to push, and we are really pushing because we have a lot of money over the RRF or Next Generation Fund, pushing it into the connectivity and make this again infrastructure for building the better and advanced services, as I said, because we are using the new technologies, and that new technologies we on the first panel today heard that, for example, APC, so high performance computing it needs 20 megawatts of electricity. So if you're using the new technologies, the advanced technologies, you need to have a lot of power, a lot of networks for high capacity. So from my standpoint, digital skills, connectivity, more complex and automated services. So we don't need to have, that we have maybe thousands of possibility to get some report on our e-citizens portal. But that's not digitalization, So we are right now dealing with that we will make complex and automated services, so you don't need to go to e-citizens and click. So everything will be done in the backend, and you will just have notes on your e-citizens portal. Okay, you are done with enrolling your children into the kindergarten or something like that. Okay. So we are now focusing on that area.
Okay, thank you a lot. Mr. Petrovsky, please, looking ahead, what emerging technologies do you believe will be the most influential in shaping the future of e-government services, for example?
So if I say AI and machine learning, I think they're already there to
But people are so scared from AI.
Big extent. Well, they should be. Not just from
especially if we don't have enough education, we should be.
Not just from the, let's say, classic issues that are raised publicly, but also from a cybersecurity point of view.
Okay.
Because many of the new cybersecurity threats are based on AI. Mm-hmm. So that issue, for example. So, but in terms of the systems in the public service, the digitalized systems, to a large extent they are already based on these two. So what I would like to see more, and what I think the future will be based on, I don't know how soon, but I think we'll get there, is blockchain. Particularly in terms of security, in terms of storing information. One of the safest ways to store information, I believe, and could be the way forward. Another technology that I would like to see more of, and I'm sure we are moving that way in future, is digital citizen identity in a, let's say, easier way based on face profiling, fingerprints.
Okay, that's what we mentioned already.
Eventually, I believe we will get there. And eventually, I mean, yes, there is no digital culture, and but the generations that are growing up now, once they get to the point in their life where they will be active users of public services, I believe that for them, this is a realistic goal to speak, using these type of identification technologies.
Okay. Additionally, your company is already using some of the solutions, or not?
We are using AI and machine learning.
Like in 20%, 50%? Where are you right now?
Pretty advanced with machine learning, I'd say. So we develop, especially for not so much for the public sector, including the public sector, but more in the private sector. Most of our solutions are based on they can learn by themselves. Some of the platforms we provided to the public sector as well, but percentage-wise is much more, machine learning can much more easily, at least from what we are doing, can much more easily be used in a manufacturing facility than in a public service software. It can be used there, but to a lesser degree, from what we find at least.
Thank you. Thank you for your insights. Mr. Lupic, last but not least, what emerging technologies do you believe will be most influential by shaping the future, especially in EU government? Yeah.
So how much time do we have?
Try to put it in the 3 minutes.
I will be very brief, but us being a technology company, for us, yes, technology is very important. First of all, I will fully agree with artificial intelligence, and I think that regardless whether it's public administration or whatever, any IT solution that does not have some AI component or open data connector inside will just run dry. It will not be possible to survive for that solution. And we do have actually already in our solutions, we do have AI implemented. Like, for example, we have the intelligent transport solution that we are implementing in a city in Croatia that has a simulation component, which is based on machine learning, that can simulate what happens if you close down a part of the road because of the traffic construction work or something like that. If you move that block several hundred meters before, if you close open traffic lights and stuff like that. So we have it there. In healthcare, we have seen on the presentation before, it's already there. In lung cancer, in any imaging, there is AI, and actually we have implemented one project, one big national IT project for e-health in a country in Northern Europe, also containing that exact solution. We have done even things like conversational chatbots that we are now deploying for a ministry inside Croatia, where the citizen will be able to communicate with a chatbot instead of searching for. It will be alive real soon, so to be announced. So AI definitely. But before I mentioned AI, I should have also agreed with Mr. Modruš, and I think that broadband connectivity is really important. Not only because of the capacity, but rather because of the reactivity, I would say, the speed of reactivity, which must be much faster to enable high-end use cases, like self-driving cars, or robotic surgeries, things like that. And I think that will be really important. I believe in build it and build it and they will come. Like what we have done in Croatia in building the building blocks for government services. Now we have a situation where it is very normal to build a service for citizens where all the data is pulled from etalon registries, from all this data that is already available to the government. Not everybody needs to submit their own data. It's very normal these days, if you think about that, that such services are built like that they are connected to 6 or 7 or 8 government shared services and where the data is pulled from. And I think that's the way to go in the future as well. Let's build the important stuff that is the building blocks, that is the core elements, and then it is very easy to develop services on top.
Okay, thank you. This is like an onion. We have a layer by layer by layer, and
Yes.
It's not enough time. So we are at the end, 1 hour is past, so thank you a lot for your contribution, for your time, coming to Šibenik. I'm so sorry, there's not so many people here, but there are people online, of course. Thanks to them also we are here. But the most important thing, definitely, 4 of you have some new topics, maybe for coffee later on,
Sure.
definitely. And what is the main thing that we can conclude maybe is this is a very specific topic, so many layers, and we need so much education, more and more and more and more everywhere. Depends from each side, from each actor here. So dear panelists, thanks you for your insightful information and discussion, definitely. What I can still say is thank you, because you provide something for the citizens from one side and you are providing something from the other side, and we definitely need you. And just keep going up the good work. That's the most important thing, definitely. So to the audience, thank you for being here. Maybe there's not a lot of you, but you can spread the word all around. Thank you for your time, and enjoy the next whole rest of the day at the forum and everything that is coming up tomorrow. You have still after PM some panel, interesting interactive session also as a recap, then a POPRI meetup and stuff. So don't miss the stuff, because you need to be here. I know it's sun and sea and it's fun, but this one is more important. So this is the important stuff. Also, people should be here. That's also one of the answers on these questions. Thank you one more time. Thank you.